Hello, how's it going? You're currently watching me remove the this off the top of this thing that we're going to be looking at in this video because annoyingly on the service manual there's a few switches that I want to adjust and they're underneath this thing, and in order to get to them you've got to take the whole thing apart, which is really annoying. I'll get back to you on what the fudge is happening here in a second when I get this bloody thing off. Right, now we're at the bottom of it, we can finally flick these switches.
Yes, today we're going to be looking at this rather beautiful yet ominous 1980s machine that I have been graced with its presence. I'm setting it up in a rather strange way. These boxes are actually supposed to be at the bottom, but look at those multi-pin connectors for the tape heads, they're huge! Anyway, this is the remote control. This is another thing that's supposed to be remotely connected, but I'm just plonking it on the top. Anyway.
That's right, I have bought a 16-track tape machine, a Tascam, I can't remember what it is, MS16, 15 inches per second, 1 inch reel to reel. I've got to be honest, it's bloody awesome. But why did I buy it? I don't know really. Well, actually, to answer this, let's flash back to about a year ago. I was of the opinion that multi-track recording onto tapes was a frivolous endeavour that was antiquated and somewhat pointless. And my opinions of that kind of changed when I went to Heimbach's in January to record the second EP of ours, Pipe Dreams. And it was my first experience in at least a decade or so of multi-track recording onto tape. The process of putting the music onto it and the way it made and melded the sounds together really spoke to me. And messing around with the tape speeds in between recording one bit one speed and one bit the other speed made some really interesting effects. I think the most notable in that EP was the vocals on Bordstein Canter. After this, I really wanted a THANKUS 3440. Heimbach found one for me for €400 that worked. It was all nice, so I grabbed that off him and we used this to record Ghosts, which was the third EP, using very much the same process as we did in the EP prior. After that, I used this tape machine to make a project for Ramsgate Festival of Sound, where I made a song a day on my synthesizer and recording it onto tape and then bouncing it down and uploading a video. But whilst I was doing this project, and it was just me and I was multi-tracking one after the other on pretty much all of the channels, I found that 4 channels actually became pretty damn limiting, which spurred me on to try and find a decent 8-track tape machine, probably by Tascam or THANKUS. I was thinking 8 channels, that'll definitely be enough for me, that'll sort me out, I'll be able to record whatever I want. But the prices for these old 80s entry-level 8-channel tape machines were sort of putting me off. I wanted to do it, but I didn't want to do it that much. Fast forward to a second-hand late-night browsing session last week. I found this one, which is a studio-level reel-to-reel, and I thought, oh, let's just send over an offer, see what happens. And after a bit of back and forth and me questioning my life choices, I ended up pulling the trigger and going and picking this thing up. But this has got 16 tracks, it's basically infinite. So that's what this video is about today, because I'm going to record my new album on this thing. That's the way I'm going to justify it to myself anyway. So in the evening when I got this back, I suddenly got hit with a bit of a reality check, and that was I had nothing to plug it into. It's not got any internal mixdown functions for the channels or mic preamps like the THANKUS 3440 that I was used to. No, this has none of that malarkey because it's a professional grade thingamagoop, and that means that you gotta plug it into other professional grade thingamagoops. So I scrounged around for a while and found about 5 of these wires. These wires are phono on the front because it's got either phono inputs and outputs on the back or XLRs on the back. And I've got on the other side a big jack, a stereo big jack. So it's basically a splitter for audio. On my repair desk I had a Tascam 16-channel mixer that is sort of working. So I plugged these into the inserts of the channels and then plugged these into the input and the output of a tape machine, which means that I was able to plug things into the mixer and then it gets recorded and then it comes back out into the mixer and you can hear it. And for the next couple of days, because I only had 4 or 5 of these, this was basically a glorified version of the 4-channel tape machine I was used to. And then kind of wrap it around with your finger, get it in, and should be good to go. You can have this off, so when you're rewinding, if you push this button, it's a solenoid, there's these 2 rods that push the tape forwards. You can push this button which turns them off so you can still hear it when it's rewinding. So, and there's some reverb coming from this spring reverb. It's a little bit out of time this, I just literally played the first things, but I might re-record this because I quite like the song. Oh, turn down this bit. That's that wow. I quite like it faster. Or is it slower like this? Oh no, I went past 0. See, this is the bit I need to get used to actually using this bloody thing. But in that time, I did actually manage to get a couple of instrumental backing tracks that I was quite pleased with. So this update that I put on Patreon the other day, Pedro, a patron, saw, who also sometimes helps out at the museum doing a bit of spring cleaning and resetting knobs. He mentioned that he had this big old mixer that I could borrow for a bit. It turns out he recently bought this mixer from Ramsgate Radio for about 200 or 300 quid, and it's a bloomin' massive Allen and Heath Sabre series. The thing is with these massive middle of the range mixing desks is nobody really wants them. They're not like proper top end, so studios don't want them and won't pay top dollar, and they're too big for home studios, and this is the problem that Pedro found, so he's lending me this until he manages to rearrange his home studios for it to fit, which if I'm honest takes quite a while because I quite like this mixer at the minute. So this is me putting it back together, and thanks a lot Pedro, it's been a lot of help because now I've got something to finally plug this thing into.
In order to use this big blooming mixer, we've got to use these patch bays. Luckily I had these sitting around, but I still had to spend 100 quid more on these blooming cables to blooming wire them in. So in order to wire the tape machine to it, I got these looms of RCA on one side, jack on the other side, to plug in the unbalanced inputs and outputs from the tape machine. I know, bite me, who cares? And we're going to be plugging it in. I'm going to plug in my DIY effects just to use as sends and then put the synths back in. There was trick-or-treaters all over the place, so I thought, let's make a spooky jam to display the functions of this tape machine.
The top patch bay is the inputs to the mixer, so you plug things into the mixer to record things. Don't need these anymore. Then the middle one is the insert. So these are the sends and returns. Right now I've got the sends patched into the input of the tape and then the returns patched into the output. So I've got a kick that's kicking through that spring reverb, the MOD spring reverb, and then that's just going on like this. Also over here, I just programmed a bass line. But there's also some scary critters that are running around. Where are they coming from? Where are they? So scary. It's basically a hi-hat that is going through a bandpass filter that is then going into that Powertran digital delay as a send that's going wee because it's got a modulation on it. Now you can see it is actually peaking like crazy, so we'll turn down the gain a bit. Ah, who cares? A little bit of clipping, it's fine. Now we've got it all set up and clipping everywhere, we can now press record and go over and play the parts. So let's go. Right. It's recording now. We're on 0. Oh my gosh, this is scary. Let's go, let's go. There's some other bits now. I can hear them. Right, and stop. Okay, let's go back to 209. I remember that was about the good take. In fact, no, we're gonna go back to, how do you go? Oh, what am I doing? I don't know how to do this. It's kind of frozen. We're gonna go to 205. Oh no, God damn it, Sam. 2, oh no, 2, oh God, 0's at 205, and then we're gonna search. And then that will bring us back. It's gonna zoom. Now, if you listen, it's here, it's there. So, channel 4. Oh, I can't mess this up. There's no quantize now. It's really simple. These things right here are actually supposed to be at the bottom of the tape machine. I've just plonked them up here so I can push the buttons and it looks kind of cool. Professional noise reduction, but I found them to make it a little bit like not as good sounding. So I haven't really used them yet. At the start, I was testing it with that Tascam mixer, that slightly broken Tascam mixer. A few of the faders I still need to replace and stuff. I got it really cheap, it was broken. So it's now working, but now with this bigger one, instead of having to reach around the back all the time to wire things in and wire things out to change bits, there's this patch bay, and there's just so many wires now. Like if you look at all of this stuff, basically we need one wire going into the tape machine from the send of a channel, and then a wire going out of the tape machine into the return of the same mixer channel in this setup. And that means because there's 16 channels, we need at least 32 of these patch cables. I didn't have enough, so I had to quickly go and grab a few more. Luckily these ones end up being about £1 each, so it's not super bad, but still. Ooh, look at that. Anyway, now these are in, I think we can add more instruments. Woohoo! Right, so now I'm going to try and get some vocals. I've picked up this podcast microphone, it'll do. Ooh, that sounded nice, didn't it? Hello. So we're gonna get going into input number 12, number 11. Hey. Hello. I'm stuck in a well. A well? Oh well. There's a reason why there's a load of these mixing desks on eBay for only a few £100. It's because it's just so over the top and daft. Hello. Check. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, check. I've got a microphone here, I could have just used that. Anyway, let's get to the meat of this. Right, I'm gonna give it one go and make it up and see where I get to. Press record. Input 11, are we ready? The microphone wire's not long enough, so I'm gonna pull you back. God, all the wires are too short. Oh, the headphone wire's too short as well. Ha. The Tascam service manual. Let's just, okay. Eliminating switching noises caused during recording and reproduction. Ooh. I was really only intending on getting an 8-channel tape machine, and if I did get the 8-channel tape machine, we would be done now. The next thing I'm going to get is maybe a guitar? Beatboxing on channel 8. Bit of beatboxing now. Any noise? Oh, I bloody unplugged it. Okay, that's my beatboxing career over. Right, we've got another 3. Now we've got the parts recorded, we're going to rewire the patch bay so the parts go back into the mixer again, so we can EQ it all and send it through a couple of reverbs again and then bounce it out. Just play it out and that's it. Unplug everything, let's just get it all off. Bye, 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 bye. So I'm going to wire the tape outputs into the inputs. So now we have the output of the tape machine wired straight back into the inputs of the mixers, and we're rewinding back to the start. For the most part, I've resetted these channels. The gains are back to sort of how they were. Make sure the lines are on. Oh, ho, ho. And we've got the EQs, the sends, which go over to the reverbs, which are down there. And we've got the channels. We're also going to go from the sync head, which is this head. This is the play head. This is the record head. However, if you were listening to the play head and you were recording on the record head, you'd be playing out of time because you'd be recording at this point in the tape, but listening to this point. So the record head can also play audio at a slightly lower quality. I mean, I can't really notice the difference. It sounds fine. So the idea is you play in time to the audio that you listen here at a slightly lower quality, but then when you play it back, you flick over to the play head, which is at a better quality. But to be honest, the sync head on this one's pretty damn good. So we flick over to the Repro, and now that is onto this head, which is designed for listening. So, yeah. Now we're going to fiddle with a bit of the EQs again, have a mess with the faders whilst it's going. We're going to run over it a few times and try and mix it, which is going to be tough because it's a bit of an iffy song, but we've just got to roll with it, just got to roll with it. So let's have a listen to what we actually have. Starting with the kick. This kick has already got reverb on it, you know, it's already on it. In fact, there's a dry one as well next to it, slightly lower. We got, I don't know what that is. This is the Prophet. Take the low end out of it, just a tiny bit. Actually, I've made it worse. And then we got, I don't know what that is yet. We got the beatbox in, that sounds fine. We're gonna bounce between left and right on the guitar. We got the voice that hasn't come in. We got that weird MS-10. Let's take some of the high end out of that, low end out of it. Make it a little less frumpy. We got some delay parts. These are the critters, the scary critters. I'm going to remove some of the low end. That. This is the bass line. I did make it quite frumpy. Now some of the low mids are taken out. I think that was the only real thing I wanted to mess around with. I'm going to play it through and mess around a little bit with the pans. So we go bouncing around a little bit with the faders. I'll bring the vocals in and out because I'm a little bit out of tune at times, so I'm going to bury that a little bit. And hopefully, the guitar's got an awful lot of noise on it. I'm going to remove that a little bit because it's just annoying slightly. Could use a D note. It's what I've got at the minute, so let's give it a go. That's better. That was okay. I don't know what to do. Well, there we go, a spooky Halloween jam. Whether that makes it onto the album or not is questionable, but the good thing is I also wired out the back of the tape machine's outputs, XLR cables going down to my X32, which is a digital interface, which means I've also recorded all of the 16 tracks separately, so I can possibly mix and edit them in the box, maybe do the vocals again on that song, which means at least I have the two options. In fact, after doing this, I had a mess around with this song and the vary speed, taking it down to about -6%. So I'm planning to record the album like this. The issue is doing it like this. I haven't got much outboard gear. I've got a couple of compressors. This sort of needs a little bit more tech just to sound a little bit better. As you saw with that mix that I was doing, I was sort of relying on the lo-fi kind of high noise ratio kind of mixy vibe, but I don't want to just completely rely on that. So I'm going to be looking around, seeing if I can find some cheap bits and bobs so I can make the most of this. There is a full-length video on Patreon of me recording that song. All of the sections, recording one after the other and then going back and forwards, maybe making some mistakes and re-recording bits and bobs over on here. So if you want to see that, it's about an hour long. That is available over on Patreon. And needless to say, Patreon helps support these projects so I can get something like this to do a video on it and record albums with. So yeah, thank you very much. And until next time, I'm no computer. This is the Tascam MS16. And if you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe and don't be scared to try it. But maybe if you respect yourself, don't get into multi-track tape recording.
For all you computer nerds, I used the separate recordings from the tape machine, EQ'd them a little bit more and did the automation in the box to see if it sounded any better. So this is the version that was EQ'd and mixed in the box, let's say. And the full version of both of them are available on Patreon. Anyway, have a lovely time. Have a listen. Totally do.